This is Fishing in Germany, and in this video I want to go over some of the essential gear I bring with me normally to go fishing that's not really necessarily fishing gear. The first thing we'll start out with is flashlights. I guess that's pretty self-explanatory, especially if you're going to go night fishing. A lot of the times too, you might not even plan to, but you end up staying a little later than normal. So yeah, a good flashlight is going to be very, very helpful. And I mean, I usually bring like one of these small little LED lights that's very strong. This one's, I can't remember how many lumens, but it's pretty strong. And to be honest, I don't use this very much. It's just in case like I need a lot of light for something, if I lose something or whatever. I try not to use this hardly at all when I'm at the river or at the bank because it's too strong. It's going to scare away the fish. Uh, Another thing with a handheld flashlight is when you catch a fish, you have your hands full. You know, if you're grabbing the net, there's no way to hold the light. And if it's dark, you're not going to see what you're doing. In that case, a headlamp is going to be really, really useful. This is pretty much essential if I'm night fishing. That way, you know, it's an elastic band, just pop it on your head and your hand's free. So, this is just a cheap Coleman one I got. They were on sale for a couple bucks, so I bought a few of them at the same time. And it's not super bright, which is also good. I'm normally when I'm turning on a light when I'm at the water, I don't want to turn it on unless my back is turned towards the water, as a kind of general rule. You know, when I'm catching a fish and I need it to see what I'm doing, then yeah, I'll turn it on. But at the same time, if it's not so bright, if it's not too strong, that's even better, I think. I've heard using one. There's some that you can switch it to turn to red. I had one like that, which I lost. And I've heard that the red light is less apt to scare the fish away. I don't know how true that is, but yeah. And finally, another one I have. This came out really useful actually. It's this one. It's a brand called Iprotec. I'll put a link in the description. I looked it up really quick. I couldn't remember. I see at Home Depot, for example, they sell them two for $15. And it's 100 lumen. It's pretty bright, and it's water resistant. I've actually, the first one I got, I dropped it in a cooler. I didn't realize it, and it was sitting in the water for a couple days. After that, it didn't work. It was the connections. I took it apart. The connections on the inside were rusted. I cleaned it, put the new batteries in, and it worked. But it also didn't work right, and it just would drain the battery even when it was off. So I just got a new one. They're cheap enough. And the thing I like about this is, one, it's strong, but usually I can just put it on my jacket pocket or just put it on my shirt with the clip. And it's a top button, so it's real easy just to turn it on if I need extra light while I'm catching a fish or trying to net a fish. Another cool feature on this is the clip on the back here. It's actually magnetic, and it's a fairly strong magnet in there. You see, it's, yeah, not bad at all. So a magnet's really useful to have as well. If I drop a hook on the ground, I've had that happen with treble hooks, big treble hooks, or I drop one and I can't find it. It's just grass and weeds everywhere. You don't really want to run your hand through the grass to find it, and I don't want to leave it there. Where I fish, there's a lot of people that take their dogs walking there. You can see the paw prints right where I'm fishing, so they're going right there. I don't want someone's dog to get snagged in a hook. That's messed up. Or someone's kid playing there, or anyone getting snagged on a hook. That's not going to be fun. It could happen to me if I'm going back to the same spot. So that's a really good way to find a hook if you drop one. So yeah, that's about it for lights. Those come in very, very useful, those types of lights to have. Another super essential thing I found for me is a power bank, a battery supply. This one I can plug in USB to whatever cables I have with me. So, of course, the cables you need. So I can charge my phone. I can charge my camera. I can charge anything. If I have my vaporizer, I can charge that. Because sometimes I'll go fishing and I end up staying longer than I think. Or maybe I'm taking a lot of video and my battery's draining faster. So this has always been really, really useful for me. It's always in my bag. And that's the thing. A lot of the stuff I have in my backpack that I always take with me. Most of it I just try to leave in there so I don't forget it or lose it, and it's going to be there. So if I dig around through my bag, I'm going to find some other stuff that's useful. This I always try to keep in my bag. During the winter, I don't need it, but this is just a bug spray off, for example. And this is against mosquitoes, ticks, biting flies, gnats, and chiggers. The worst I have here are mosquitoes and ticks, and it's mosquitoes don't happen very often. It's colder weather here, but when they do, they suck. So that helps. It's not going to cure it. It's not going to fix it. If they're bad, but it's something against it. Ticks, yeah, those are bad too. We get them really bad in the summer. So anything, I usually just keep, that's always at the bottom of my bag. I forgot it was there because it's been, months since I've needed it in this weather. But it's always there just in case. Going through here a little bit more. Hand sanitizer. Small little bottle. I don't use it that often. Usually my hands are going to be dirty. It's not a big deal. Wipe them off of my pants. But that's good to have around in case, if you get a cut or something. Even the water from a river or something, you can get infected from it. So it's a good way to clean up anything. I don't have a first aid kit. It's just too much to carry around. But the next best thing. And I'm never that far from my house where I fish around here. These are fishing related, but I found these to be really, really helpful. Are fishing gloves. These, I did a review on them. You can see it. They're a $6 pair I bought from China. And I've used them 3 or 4 days now fishing, and I'm pretty happy with them. They're kind of like this wetsuit neoprene material with like this kind of material, just like a wetsuit, like the inside and outside, I guess, of a wetsuit. And the only thing if I had any complaints about them, is these are size large. They're a bit tight fitting. What I like is there's a removable finger and thumb. And yeah, there's these Velcro clips that kind of hold them back pretty well. So it's really easy, quick to cover. When it's cold, these are great. I think they're advertised as waterproof. They're not waterproof. They're slightly water resistant. Just about an hour ago, just to double check, I put one on and put my hand under the sink, and you can see it's still soaked with water. So not waterproof. Again, that's something I might try to use some water sealant spray on to see if it helps, but I don't think it's going to do that much. Next, let's look. I had to make a cheat sheet to see. Umbrella. This is a cool one. This has been very useful. I don't take it all the time. It's a bit big. It's a bit bulky. It's not so heavy, but yeah, it takes up more. I don't always take it. Usually I try to keep it in my car. It's a little bit bigger than what I can fit in my hatchback, so I have to usually throw it in the back seat. That's where it's a bit of a pain, because if I take my dog anywhere, she takes up the whole back seat. But this is an umbrella. It's made by a brand called Cormoran, and I've seen other brands make it. I had a hard time finding one. I was looking on eBay and Amazon and all over. My friend I go fishing with, he had one, and when I saw it, I was like, where'd you get that? And so he picked me up one from the same fishing store. He got his. This one was on sale for €40. It's a different brand than what he has. But it's an umbrella. It's pretty big. I have bad luck because I opened it inside. Maybe if I just open it part way. You see, it's big enough for about 2 people to be tight fit in there, but comfortable. 2 chairs will fit under it. My gear will fit under it. It tilts back at the top. It's got a spike at the bottom that you can adjust the height. It doesn't go very high, I have to say. That's one little complaint about it. But if any higher, though, I'd have even more problem with wind. When it's really windy, it's a pain. It's not worth it. You either have to sit and hold it, or it's going to fly away. It comes with an attachable skirt that zips around the whole outside. I have it here. It's too big to really show you the whole thing, but the side panels are clear, and the rest is like the top. That will zip around the outside, and there's tent stakes that you put in the ground to hold it in. That helps a lot when it's windy to hold it from flying off, but also it blocks the wind. It does a really good job of blocking the wind and keeping the rain off you or the sun off you. I've used it in really, really strong rain, and it didn't work so good. It leaked a bit. There was Not massively, but there's a few drops that were coming right in around the center that were constant drops where it was leaking. So that's a bit of a disappointment for it. Again, I'm gonna buy a can of like water sealant and try it on this and maybe the gloves at the same time. But that's been really useful. Like I said, sometimes I'll just have it in my car because the weather here is very unpredictable. So if it's raining or if it's really windy or if it's really sunny and hot, that thing has been great to have. It's really been a lifesaver in those cases. And I think I'm down to the last thing. I dig through my bag again. There's a couple more things actually. A balaclava for the wintertime. This thing's a bit dirty from fish food. That makes a big difference if you're cold because a hat and a hood and a jacket doesn't cut it. A balaclava, which is going to cover your face, that really makes a difference. This one, I bought it from eBay. It's made in China, and again, it's a bit too small for me. It's really tight under my chin, especially if I pull it down all the way. It fits, but it's a bit tight. There's these adjustable things. One broke. I never used them because it's already tight enough. But that makes a big difference when it's cold and windy out. I'll actually just go through the rest of what's in my bag because this is my kind of my essential gear I always keep in here. This one is a simple one, but very helpful as well. And that's just a big trash bag, a big plastic bag. I keep that around. It's multi-purpose, but again, if it's raining and I have some gear out, I can just throw it in my bag real quick in a plastic bag like that. So even the whole backpack, so it's not getting soaked. I've been in weather where it's raining or it's really humid out, and I have a jacket sitting there. It's too hot to wear it, and later I want to put it on, and it's totally saturated. It got damp or got wet, or my backpack gets wet. So that, that's good to have there. I usually have my camera in here, and of course, if you don't have a camera with you, or if you have a camera with you and you don't have a tripod, it's almost worthless. So I have one of these really cheap, handy tripods for your cell phone. I wouldn't recommend it for your cell phone. That's how I broke my screen. We put it in there and it holds it like it's nice and tight, and then the whole thing flipped out and it fell maybe 2 feet and just cracked, landed just perfectly to crack it. It does hold this GoPro camera I have that I just had in my hand. Here it is. It doesn't hold it perfectly, but it actually clips in there. And it's pretty secure, and it's in a pretty good case, so if it falls, it's not going to hurt it. Adjustable legs, so it's really small, really light, really cheap. It was another, you look this up on eBay, they cost nothing. A couple bucks from China. So they're not made very well, but they do the job. It's better than not having a tripod. And other than that, I usually have a lighter in my bag. That's always useful. The USB cables I need. These aren't essential, but a small compact pair of binoculars is pretty cool to have sometimes, especially when I'm trying to where I can look at different areas. I want to see if it's worth walking down there to fish. And I think maybe the most essential piece of gear I left for last, and that's beer. You have to have that when you go fish. Cheers, pet your hail, and see you next time.